All right, Pac-Manians, it's the last chapter plus an epilogue. It's going to go quick, a couple pages. So we're on chapter 32, From Small Things. While everyone else's attention was on the commotion above, we made a hasty dash through the gates. The pixies had started throwing skeins of gold out the windows, and men and women were scrambling about to pick them up. But of course, they couldn't. As soon as it hit the ground, the gold became like stones melted into the earth. We heard shouts as people tried to pry up the gold and then got attacked by pixies. I guess the pixies had claimed the gold as their own. They would have gold nests all over the castle now. By the time we reached the base of the mountain, the day was nearly gone. Red and I didn't speak much as we traveled. We were cold and dirty and exhausted, but at least we were full from the pies Martha had given us. As we slowly climbed the mountain, Red kept glancing back toward the castle, her face knit into something like worry. "They won't come after us," I said. "I think they're a little busy." "No, it isn't that. Do you think they'll be all right?" I had to laugh. Red, concerned? And about the miller, no less? "They'll be fine once the swelling goes down." Then we both laughed, tears streaking our muddy faces. "How did you do that?" she asked. "How did you just do all that?" I smiled. "A good name can do a lot for you." I told Red everything that had happened when Frederick and Bruno took me outside, all about my name and how I knew what it was and my plan to get away. "Rumpelstiltskin," she said slowly. "That's crazy. You're trapped and tangled, but then you're really powerfully magical." "Who isn't?" She patted me on the head. "You're a lot smarter than you look." "Well, that's friendship." "And you really are taller than me," she said, holding her hand up to my head. "Not that it's saying much," she finished, punching me in the arm. "That's friendship, too." We reached the edge of the village just as the sun was going down, casting a sparkling pink glow all over the snow. Gran's cottage was dark and empty and cold. It looked so lonely. "You can come to my house. Mother wouldn't mind. She'd probably want to thank you for, saving my life." "Maybe in a little while." Red nodded. She understood. After everything, I needed some time alone. I walked around the village, glancing through candlelit windows where families ate their suppers or children were snuggling in their beds. I walked past the mill, now abandoned and silent. I wondered who would be the miller now. Surely no one as greedy as Oswald. I walked through the mines where tools were abandoned and pans full of mud suggested that the village still was not finding much gold. I walked just inside the woods and felt the mysteries there. One day I would go back to Red's granny's and thank her. Nothing can change about the mountain or the village, but it all looked different to me, I guess, because I had changed. When I came back to the cottage, I noticed something that was really different. There was a hardy little sapling growing in the snow in front of the cottage. My seed. Red must have come and watered it, or maybe even her granny. Big things can grow from small ones. What would it grow to be? I hoped a giant apple tree. Inside the cottage, I found my mother's spinning wheel in front of the fireplace, old and scratched. It had caused so much trouble, but it was still beautiful to me because it was hers, because I knew now that the destiny she had wished for me. I brushed my hands over the wood and spun the wheel, its whir ringing like music. I still had my mother's bobbin in my satchel. I took it out and placed it on the wheel. I gathered a few bits of straw from the floor and held them tight in my hand. Red once told me that magic was inside of me. She was right, but Ida had said that the magic was everywhere, in the sky, in the air, in the sun. She was right too. The magic was inside me and outside me, in everyone and everything had its own unique kind of magic. It was in the trees and trolls, squirrels and rabbits, mountains and rivers and rocks. It was in my feet and fingers and in my heart. I could feel it now as I began to spin. Straw is straw, I thought. The straw snapped and sputtered through the wheel. It floated in the air, glittering in the moonlight like bits of gold dust. Like gold, but not gold. Beautiful. Gran would have loved it, and so would Mother. I could almost feel them with me. And that's its own kind of magic, to feel that people who are gone are still here. Okay, epilogue. It's like 2 pages. Your destiny is your name. For days and weeks, I woke with my name singing in my ears. It was a beautiful sound, music unlike any in the world. It made me wish that everything could have such a name. Not just people, but animals and villages and roads and kingdoms, even mountains. When spring arrived, Red and I climbed up high up on the mountain as we could until we could see all the village and the roads, the kingdom, and far away, just the faint glimpse of yonder and beyond. My whole journey was laid out before me. I imagined I could see the trolls in the eastern woods, slurping sludge and maybe eating apples. I saw my aunts in yonder spinning their magic, Ida making rhymes and cake. Someday I would visit them again and spin and weave with their magic. And instead of tying me up in knots, the magic would bring us together. But for now I was home, back where it all began, and I had one last task to fulfill. I'm going to give this mountain a name, I said. Why? Asked Red. It doesn't need a destiny like we do. Yes, it does, I said. Everything in the world should have a destiny and come together and get all intertwined and tangled with our own destinies. Sounds like trouble, said Red. I smiled. It probably is. But what is destiny without a little trouble? And right then and there, I stood up and hollered the name of my mountain. The name soared into the sky and clouds. I could feel the magic of it spreading over the mountain, sinking into the ground and running right up through my feet, bursting with power and fateful glory. A name is a powerful thing. The end. Take your AR test. It's worth like 9 points. All right, guys.